The following is a sponsored segment from the Downtown San Diego Partnership. Voices San Diego podcasts are sponsored in part by the Downtown San Diego Partnership. I'm Kinsey Moreland, and I'm here with Yehudi Gaffin. He's a member of the Downtown San Diego Partnership and CEO of GAFCON, a firm that provides services in construction, program, and project management in complex real estate projects. Hi, Gaff.
How you doing? Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. You're also the CEO of Protea Waterfront Development, the managing members of One Highway 1, and that's the partnership selected to develop Seaport San Diego. So that's a big project, game changer for downtown San Diego's waterfront. What are you most looking forward in coming years for downtown's waterfront development?
I think it's really creating a new district for San Diego. I've traveled quite a bit, lived in other countries, and I love San Diego. It's been amazingly good to me and my family and the business we started here. But I've always felt there's something missing downtown. We looked at moving downtown many times over the last 40 years that I've lived in San Diego. Actually pulled the trigger to do that about 16 years ago. And it's changed a lot in the 16 years, and I think it's going to change a lot going forward. And one of the things most exciting to me is to be a part of that change, to add to the fabric, to add to the activation, and to add to truly making San Diego America's finest city.
So, like you said, you have a ton of experience living and working along the waterfronts across the globe, really. So what is special now about San Diego's waterfront, and what could be special in the future?
I think what's special to me, and this relates to the Seaport San Diego site, is that there aren't many places in the world in an urban environment that you have a site that big. It's 70 acres. 70 acres is a big piece of land. Some people forget or don't realize that Seaport Village is only 13 acres of that 70 acres that's known as Seaport San Diego. So the opportunity to actually revision a parcel of that size in that location is very, very unique and very, very special, and I think has a tremendous potential to be transformative for downtown. The site's been named the 100% corner before we got involved, and I think it was an architect who was originally brought in to look at the waterfront, and they determined that that site is the 100% corner within the bay, within San Diego. And I truly believe that it is, and it has that potential to change all of downtown.
Right. I mean, it's such a beautiful, just the natural beauty of that site is one thing. The accessibility, it's, easy to get to. Hopefully it'll be even easier to get to in the future. Protea Waterfront Development is, leading the project, or one of the managing members. This is a mega project. Lots of people are watching it, interested in it. With so many stakeholders involved, how do you approach that? How do you satisfy everyone?
Yeah. It's probably one of the more difficult aspects of this project is building that consensus, because this site, it's a public project, although we call it a public-private partnership, although there's a private developer that's going to be building it. The impacts on everyone around it are huge. So I have learned through my 40 years in this business that ignoring stakeholders is a recipe for disaster. Ignoring the community that you build within is a recipe for disaster. And when this opportunity came up, I think one of the reasons we were selected was the amount of work we put into reaching out to the stakeholders in an honest way. A lot of people talk about outreach and community engagement, but it's very often just done as a foil to say we did it. But I think people are not stupid. It becomes very apparent very quickly. So I remember in the late 70s when I came to San Diego, it was a vibrant fishing industry. Tuna Harbor, which is part of our project, was the heart of the U.S. tuna fishing fleet. And over the holiday period, I remember vividly, you didn't give bottles of wine. You really gave cans of tuna that you had your logos put onto, and you gave a box of canned tuna to people. And the boats were lined up, side by side in Tuna Harbor. And then with regulation and labor laws and other issues, the tuna fleet essentially disappeared. But those fishermen are still here, and they are an important part of our community. They're an important part of our history, and they have been pretty much sidelined. So we felt that here was an opportunity to really work with them to celebrate what they have done, but not what they had in their history, but also the potential future for the fishing industry in San Diego. We worked with the downtown residents, so we really felt that we had to involve community, make this project their project, not just our project. And to me, that was one of the prime reasons that I think ultimately we were selected.
So where are we in the design process? Is there a conceptual design out there? It's still evolving. Just update us on what might become in the design.
It's definitely still evolving. I'm a believer that nothing good comes out of the first shot. I often think about when you write an essay or you write
they're
a
terrible.
white paper. They're terrible. You think it's great the night you wrote it, and then you read it the next morning, and it's, wow, this is terrible. So whether it's art or whether it's a skill set, I think it takes time. This started way back. The design of this site started before we got involved. It started with the Port of San Diego coming up with this concept for their vision, for their plan for the bayfront, which is now moving into what's known as the Port Master Plan Update. A very visionary effort by this Port Commission, who have truly been an amazing partner to work with. And we're hard at work. We're working every single day with a very big team to try and address options and alternatives. And we're hopeful that within the next few months, we'll be able to unveil the next iteration of the design. One thing we've committed to is that we won't bait and switch the port. I think the big worry was you've submitted a great program to us with great components. The worst thing I think we could do is that we basically change all that. So the commitment we've made is that the core of our program will stay intact. We may add to it if we have better ideas, if new initiatives come forward, but we won't bait and switch where we'll actually start reducing the program and what we had submitted.
So what are some of the design elements that people are most excited about already, or some of those core programmatic things that you have?
I think there are a few things. I think the idea of an observation platform where many people have never seen San Diego from 500 foot up in the air. If you can't afford $30 martinis and in a sky bar, or afford a penthouse that overlooks the ocean, many San Diegos have never seen that incredibly majestic view.
Right.
So I think that observation platform and the ability for people to get up to that level to experience what that may be like. I think the second thing we hear a lot about is the diversity of hospitality experience. So we had submitted 4 price points for hotel rooms on the water, starting at the low end with a hostel where you could rent beds in a shared room, obviously gender separated, to a micro hotel where the rooms were designed more like cruise ship cabins, small rooms, but obviously less expensive than a full service.
Yep.
The third level up was a full service hotel, which there are many on the waterfront. The convention style hotels, we probably think of them as 4-star hotels. Those were the 3 price points in hospitality. We're now looking at a potentially a 4th one, which would be a luxury hotel on the waterfront. And what we've determined when guests come in and they say, I really want to stay at a special place on the water, and they say, where can I stay in San Diego? You think about it, and to be honest, I don't think there are any. And we feel that this location deserves something like that. So we're looking at that alternative, either to replace the full-service hotel or potentially a 4th hospitality price point.
So I have to ask, if my 3-year-old and 5-year-old were in the room right now, they would ask you 2 questions. 1, will there still be ice cream? And 2, will they be able to ride a carousel?
But the answer is yes to both of those, and many, many, many more. I think many more things to do. One of the areas we're really focusing on is the public realm and making it exciting for everyone, from your kids, as you mentioned, to millennials, to older people, to retired people, to travelers, to tourists. And we're actually starting to work on a storyboard which talks about a day at Seaport from all those different perspectives. So if you did have a 2 or 3 year old, what would they do at Seaport if they came there for a morning or a day? And I think it enables us to tease out that experience journey for these different people and to start thinking about where gaps may exist. So it's the public realm that creates the value ultimately.
Yeah, I mean, one of the common complaints that comes up about downtown San Diego and the waterfront is that, locals don't access it enough, that it's been walled off. There's a convention center and there's maybe a lot more geared toward tourists. And it sounds like you're saying this project is going to completely flip the script.
That's totally our intention, is to make this the go-to place. If you visit California, people are going to say you have to go and see Seaport.
All right. Well, Gaff, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you very much.